Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to this
Yo.
brand new episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You're here with us once again, your beautiful hosts, Carlo and Zach. Buddy, I've missed you.
Dude,
It's been like,
missed you too,
what,
man.
3 weeks?
Yeah, it's been a while. Congrats on the gold.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll leave it at that.
I would love to say it was well-deserved, but Carlo, we both watched the game. Everyone who's watching this or listening to this also may have watched the game.
Probably.
Canada should have won that game. If you did it 99 times again, all those opportunities, the Nathan McKinnon opportunities that they had, those would have went in.
I've seen Nate score that goal on the wings several times. So, I mean, it was just, it wasn't meant to be, man. It wasn't meant to be. And that's hockey. That's the way she goes sometimes.
We will continue this discussion, but let's stop and take a moment to say thank you to the watchers and listeners at home tuning in to this episode. Thank you so much for joining us on this brand new episode. If you are returning, if you are brand new, thank you so much for stopping by. If you have not already, watching or listening to us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit that notification bell. That lets you know when these brand new episodes come out, as well as our shorts, everything else in between. If you are on Apple or on Spotify, go ahead, rate us a 5 stars, hit that follow button. You can find us on all the major social media platforms. We do want to give a huge shout out as well to everyone who has tuned in to all of our content that we have put out there, Carlo, because we've reached over 1 million views on YouTube. Man. I think currently right now it's 1.3 million. We did get a nice Olympic bump thanks to Tone Larkin and Team USA Shenanigans afterwards. Thank you so much for everything that you guys have done for us. Without you guys, we honestly wouldn't be here today. So claps for you guys. Thank you so much. We truly do appreciate
we do appreciate that, you guys have done.
Carla, do you want to speak on that real quick?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of kicked this thing off a few years ago with like a let's see how it goes. Here we are, and it's kind of nuts, a little bit surreal, definitely a lot surreal. I lied. And it just kind of gives us the fuel, the motivation to keep on going. So we appreciate it, and we'll commit to continuing to put out some good stuff, right? And continue to engage with the folks, and always something to talk about, and always something to unpack or unpeel. And that's what we're here to do, is really just get people's opinions, because everyone's got one, and that's fine. That's great. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about them, and let's see if we're all picking up what we're all putting down at the same time.
And you know what it all comes down to, Carlo, is that no matter what we agree or disagree on, we all want the same thing: for this team to be great and to lift that cup once again, like we've seen many times before. So, Carlo, because of the amazing growth that we have seen over the last few months, year, whatever, there are some people that maybe don't know that much about us. So maybe let's give a blanket statement about us, who we are, where we're from. But I live in Michigan, born and raised here, just a little bit north of Detroit. Always been a hockey fan. I share the same birthday as Gordie Howe. My dad always joked around when
that's kind of sick.
My mom was pregnant with me that he would make her wear a vintage Detroit Red Wings jacket and everything. So I was born to be a Detroit Red Wings fan. Doing this, obviously, I just wanted to do this for the sake of it, have a lot of fun with it, and see where it would take me. And like Carlos said, this has been a tremendous experience for both of us, and the relationships that we've made along the way. And you guys giving us the ideas that we need to continuously provide great content. We believe we give out good content. If there's ever any ideas that you guys have for us, let us know, and we will definitely utilize them. But yeah,
and always call us out, because that's what helps us keep us in check, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we want to, be on both sides of the coin too with this team. We're going to be very honest with ourselves and this team and everything that comes along with it. So keep us true and honest, and we truly appreciate everything that you guys do for us. But Carlo, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, we've never really done this, but you know what, with the growth we've seen and stuff, it's maybe, get a little deeper. And so for me, I mean, I'm from Windsor. I'm right across the pond from Detroit. I can literally be inside Little Caesars Arena, and I'm in Canada. For those who don't know,
where Windsor is. He smells the hot and sweaties when he wakes up every morning.
Dude, I can literally drive and be inside Little Caesars Arena grabbing a beer in probably, granted the border and the traffic is fair. Let's say fair. I could be there in under half an hour.
There you go.
Like cross the border, do your thing, get checked, and then park and all that stuff, walk 30 minutes or less, I'm there. Like it's pretty sweet to live here, and it's a unique town because it's often pretty split, obviously between Toronto and Detroit. But I feel like with Toronto's kind of downswing right now and Detroit's upswing, let's call it, you're starting to see a lot of Wings fans kind of come out of the woodwork, which is always great. And it's something locally we always joke about, because they ride the hot team. But no, not me, dude. I've been a diehard Wings fan since I can remember. 2, 3. Like I remember watching games at such a young age and just being in awe of Yzerman. That's really what got me going into hockey. So, yeah, that's a little bit about us. It's kind of weird, a Canadian and an American hosting a Red Wings podcast, but it doesn't get more real than that, eh? So let's fire it up.
For those that don't know as well, we originally started under a different name, which was Hockeytown University. For those that know, go ahead and leave it down in the comments. I would love to see who have been number one faithfuls, I guess we'll call you guys, the Truesters, shall we say. And also for those probably wondering, how did we come across each other? Yeah, Carlo and I have only known each other for a few years ourselves. And Carlo, correct me if I'm wrong, and I have been asked this a few times actually lately, how we met. I tell people we actually met on Twitter. It was known as Twitter back at that time.
It was known as Twitter, yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember whose post it was. I think one of us said something and we started jawing at each other, and then you DM'd me. And then somehow we got on the topic of conversation of dogs, and we both shared a love for golden retrievers.
And that's basically history from there.
That was it. The rest is history. Now we have a podcast together, and
there we go. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Geeking at each other, finding out that we both have Goldens, and we just became best friends. Isn't that the way it goes sometimes?
And then now we're at the point where we're doing fantasy hockey leagues together, which I'm slowly catching back up. I think I started 0-4. I'm excited.
Yeah, you did have a rough start, but you are catching back up.
Yeah, I think I'm losing this week. And then we're also talking about, if and when the Red Wings, knock on wood, hopefully they do. We will talk about this continuing on this episode, but that we will be hopefully making an appearance at some playoff games. I'm waiting to go until then. Yep. I probably won't go to another game until then because I don't want to jinx them. I think I'm 1 for 3 on games this year, so I don't want to continue bringing my bad juju.
Maybe I gotta go then, dude, because I think I'm undefeated.
Yeah, you said you're good.
I'm 3 for 3 early in the season.
Buying you some tickets.
We got to do it. I'm gonna probably go to one more regular season game, and then I'll save the good stuff for playoffs.
I would like to go to a game after the trade deadline, which that is the main portion of this episode. We will be touching on players that are being linked to the Detroit Red Wings, which seems to be pretty much everyone and their second cousin that isn't even in the NHL at this point, Carlo. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into everything. With that spiel being done, we will obviously leave little tags to where each portion of this episode leads to. So feel free to skip over this portion if this is not what you came for. So Carlo, let's go ahead and jump into it. And let's continue on the conversation of USA versus Canada. Sorry, you guys got silver. I truly do believe Canada should have won gold. Only because, and I said this before it went on to 3-on-3, and it is something that the Olympics just implemented. And it is the first time that NHL players are in the Olympics in over 10 years, Carlo, 12 years, right? Something like that. 2014 was the last season when NHL players were allowed to be in there. I said before it went into overtime, I personally don't like that it's 3-on-3 OT. And I laughed the fact that it was 20 minutes long. I was like, there's no reason why this is 20 minutes long whatsoever.
Yeah, it's weird.
So what's your opinion on 3-on-3 in the Olympics? I don't like it.
So it's playoffs. You guys, you got 16 teams chasing the Stanley Cup. When it comes to overtime, it's 5-on-5 for 20 minutes. So if you're playing for Olympic gold, which is arguably, and some would say yes, some would say no, but arguably right there with the Stanley Cup, if not a tier higher, we're talking about Olympic gold here. Personally, I'm with you. I think it should have been 5-on-5, especially at the 20-minute time mark. Listen, man, everyone knew the rules going into this tournament. Everybody was playing under the same, pretenses and like I said, rules. So to use that as an excuse, it's really just a hindsight thing, right? But at the end of the day, those were the rules. The U.S. won. Canada dominated. Anybody with a sense of hockey intelligence knows that. But how many times have you seen, for example, the Red Wings get dominated but squeak out a win in overtime?
Right.
And I'm not talking about last night's game against Carolina, but the last time they played Carolina, Drew Kopp wins it in OT. Did Detroit deserve to win that game? I don't know. There's several games Detroit squeaks. The U.S. squeaked out a game, and it happened to be a lot on the line. Kudos to them, man. They still played well. They put on a defensive clinic, in my opinion, and defense wins championships. They were getting worked at times, but they didn't let up a goal. You got to give these guys credit. And then they pounced on their opportunities. So good on them. Happy for Larkin, bringing it back down to the hometown team and localizing it a bit. Really happy for Larkin, man. And I really hope, him winning something of that status gives him another gear, gives him a little bit more of a sense of purpose in what he does every day, and that's play for the Detroit Red Wings. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for out of this and seeing out of this. And, and then you look at all the other guys like Seider. I think he played the most. He had the highest TOI out of all the defensemen. Raymond led the Sweden team with points. I believe that's correct. I mean, this is all good stuff for us and what we watch every single day. So, we take it and we take it. That's all we can do is take it. As a Canadian, at least, who's a Wings fan, I'm happy with the outcome. I'm looking back and taking a couple steps back. I'm just happy we get to see NHL athletes in the Olympics again, man. That was just some unbelievable hockey. It was great to watch. So that's kind of my spiel on the Olympics. Yeah, it was all overall 10 out of 10. Watching it, regardless of the winners and the outcomes, man, it was great.
Yeah, overall, I'm just very thankful that none of the players got injured, or at least as far as we know. Maybe some might be having some thoughts after last night's Carolina Hurricanes games. But yeah, big shout outs to the players that were sent over there. Lucas Raymond, he now holds Team Sweden's record for the longest assist streak at an Olympics with NHL players. In his 5 games, he recorded 9 points, which is fantastic from him. But yeah, I think he was at least top 7 in the tournament. I don't have it in front of me, so keep me honest, folks. Put it down in the comments. He was top 7 within points in the tournament. That's very impressive for Lucas Raymond playing on the top line with Sweden. Moritz Seider as well, Carlo, you made that shout out. In his 5 games, he recorded 2 assists, was a +2, which is actually very impressive based on who they had to play against. And not to discredit Team Germany, but the team in general, you have players like Draisaitl, you have teams like Stützle, Peterka, and Seider, but a +2, that's pretty impressive for them. And plays the most minutes, like you said, and it was 131 minutes, 22 seconds of any player at the Olympics thus far. That was on February 18th, so probably isn't the highest anymore after the gold medal game. But Carlo, I'm very happy. I'm very proud of Team USA. Like you said, it was one hell of a game. 46 years in the making ever since Miracle. Great movie. Americans across the United States celebrated. Majority, I would say, enjoyed this. It's a great win. Great for the country. Great for also the state of Michigan, like you said, not only for Dylan Larkin, but all the other players like Connor Hellebuyck, Kyle Connor, all the other ones as well, bringing home gold for the state of Michigan. That grows the state of Michigan as a whole. That provides such an impact to the youth that currently play in hockey as well. And not even just in Michigan, but in the United States. I mean, you saw videos of all of these youth hockey programs and teams like taking breaks to watch the gold medal game and see the result of Team USA's hard work to earn that gold medal around their necks. What does that mean for the youth of America? Because like I said, 46 years in the making, we haven't seen anything like this for youth, and to see hockey grow continuously as we have been seeing. And we've seen a lot of great American players over the years, and looking at how Team USA is constructed, you said how great they are defensively. Their goaltending is outstanding. Canada is obviously really good as well. But in general, what does that do for the game of hockey for the youth moving forward?
Well, I think for the youth in general, it's huge. To see anytime you're watching your country play, you tend to not only look forward to it, but you kind of band together with people around you, whether it's with your family. You're definitely with your family, your parents, and maybe some cousins start to come in. Maybe some aunt and uncles come by. It's Sunday morning, 8 a.m. You're having breakfast. This starts to become more of a bigger thing than just a game because you have your posse with you. So for the youth that watch this stuff, it's got to be huge. And it doesn't even matter where they live. I mean, you could have kids in Sweden that are just in awe of Connor McDavid, or they're in awe of Austin Matthews, or they're in awe of their own guys, in Raymond, Zabinajad.
Yeah, they don't get to see those guys all the time, right? And being over in Italy, in basically their time zone, right? They get to see the best players play all the time now. So that's good for them.
Yeah, so I think for the youth, it's big, man, to see NHL athletes at this level, at time zones or at times that are friendly to your time zone is huge. And I think you talk about growing the game of hockey. I think the Olympics is a great way to do that with NHL athletes.
Overall, though, yes, Carla, I would agree with you. It's tremendous for the game, and it just creates memories, right? And we don't know.
Exactly.
As an American, I will say this: it took 46 years, and this only comes every 4 years. So for us to say that this is going to happen continuously, as fool's gold. So I'm going to take
Well,
it where
sure.
I can. I appreciate it. USA, thank you. Appreciate it. Hope they had all the fun. And it looked like they had fun. Dylan Larkin, he was just
Oh
a
my
content
goodness.
creator for us and for Red Wings fans in general. I mean, the type of, I'm just going to go ahead and share this one real quick because this one is by far the greatest to me. And it's the one where he is at the club in Miami and he
Yeah,
just
dude.
starts doing this dance.
Honestly, it was so awesome to see that. It was so awesome to see that. And look at that. Those boys know how to throw down, man. It was awesome to watch that, follow that along for as often as we could or for what they released. But good for them, man. It was awesome entertainment.
All right.
That's so funny.
Enough about the Olympic stuff. Let's do the around the league news. So the Red Wings will be playing against the Nashville Predators tomorrow. I believe it's at 2 p.m.
It is
And
at
they're
2
doing
p.m.
it for almost kind of like a Hockey Day Global Series thing. They will not be playing in Sweden, but the purpose of them playing at 2 p.m. is so that fans over in Europe can experience watching NHL hockey on television. They also did that this weekend. They did that with the Pittsburgh Penguins and the New York Rangers. That was for Sweden. They're doing it for Czechia, Germany, and Finland. And those teams will include the Capitals, Boston Bruins, Anaheim Ducks, and the Senators, Florida Panthers, and the New York Islanders. I really like this. I think this is really cool. So not only did the Europeans get the exposure from these NHL players being in Italy, but not every player who is European gets to play in the Olympics. So perfect opportunity for Europeans to see maybe some of the other players that they don't get to watch on a regular basis. So your thoughts and opinions on this, Carlo? It's great for the NHL. Great idea.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what I said about the Olympics, like just being able to watch games that are friendly to your time zone is that's a smart move. That helps grow the game. You can't grow the game without getting eyes on it. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense. It's cool that they're doing that. 2 p.m. on a Monday sucks for us in North America, but I mean we're all working or tied up. But
Right.
But that's all right. We're spoiled enough with these 7 p.m., 8 p.m. primetime starts. Let them watch, man. Let them watch. They deserve to watch it just as much as we do. So if there's ways to localize that to them, the Europeans out there, have fun, watch it, go Wings, and enjoy the game. That's awesome. I'm really kind of stoked that they're doing that.
All right, Carlo, let's go ahead and touch on the games this week. I guess just a February recap in general. There was only 4 games in February. It is March 1st today currently. So happy March, buddy.
Yeah, holy smokes, it is March 1st. Jeez.
Very quick February. Honestly, it felt like it flew by. Olympic hockey made it nice and easy for us, and I guess the Olympics in general. But so going backwards all the way to February 2nd, the Red Wings beat the Colorado Avalanche. Before that, Carlo, they lost. They got decimated, and we say the Colorado Avalanche are allowed to lose, and you should blow their socks off going into their barn. We said that. They did exactly then. They won 2-0. Going to Utah, they lost 4-1. So they go into the Olympic break, not on a good note. But we kept on keeping our hopes high and said, there's a lot of young players on this team. There's a lot of older players on this team as well that could benefit from this break who are not going to the Olympics. So then we return. We play against the Ottawa Senators, and the Red Wings win 2-1 in overtime. Dylan Larkin, power play goal, and the game-winning goal scorer in overtime to become the Detroit Red Wings leader in overtime goals, which is 13 in passes officially. Sergei Fedorov. We did create a tribute video to Dylan Larkin on that. CC Yzerman, the Darren Helm comp to Dylan Larkin at his draft.
Funny.
Go ahead and catch that if you guys have not. We did release that yesterday. All 13 overtime game-winning goals from our captain, Dylan Larkin. Carlo, your thoughts and opinions on this game? We are changing it up. We are not doing the full breakdown. We're just going to call out the goal scorers and then just our thoughts and opinions on these games just to move through these episodes a lot more quickly. But Carlo, thoughts and opinions on this game? 2-1 in OT.
The thoughts and opinions on this game. Well, I think we didn't really wake up until, I guess, when Larkin scored that power play goal. There was some major concerns with their 5-on-5 play throughout this game for me. I'm pretty sure they got worked in the first period, shot-wise and just overall play. Yeah, it was just one of those games where I think we're lucky we got the second point. I think we're lucky we got a point to begin with. This team, and this is going to just kind of go into the overall conversation about February's play altogether, but this team genuinely needs help 5-on-5. I don't know. They're amongst the bottom of the league in actual 5-on-5 results.
Mm-hmm.
This game was a good example of it. The game last night was a good example of it. Todd's comments are a good example of it.
Yeah, bringing that into light too, the Red Wings lost, it's no secret, 5-2 against the Carolina Hurricanes. They got both of their goals came 5-on-5.
They
Simon
did,
Edmondson, Patrick
which is
Kane.
funny. Yeah, they kind of came in a flurry, which was cool, and it's ironic because I was actually talking with somebody about how this team struggles 5-on-5 time and time again, and then bang bang 2 5-on-5 goals. That was funny, but I don't think that's going to be something we see regularly unless something drastic happens. I don't know. I love Todd McLellan. I think Todd is the right voice behind the bench for these guys, but it's been a long time now where this team struggles 5-on-5, and I start to wonder, does he need to change something systematically? I don't know if he does, but we've said it before. Like if things aren't working game after game after game after game, do we now need to start changing things up systematically? And maybe that's a little further down the line. I think it starts first with some lineup changes, right? For example, putting DeBrincat back up with Larkin and Raymond. I believe when we started the season, that was by far our best line, just producing offense like crazy. So I think it would probably more or less start with some lineup tweaks before it becomes a whole systematic thing, because systematically, I see them make good game management decisions, whether that's holding onto the puck a little bit longer rather than just dumping it. They are doing these things right. For the most part, there are still some bonehead moves, which happens, but I wonder if there's some tweaking coming. And I wonder if that tweaking happens this week as we start to approach the trade deadline and getting certain players to come in. I think the top line needs a shooter, right? I don't think Dylan Larker is the quote unquote shooter. I think he's the engine that runs the line. I think Raymond's the playmaker. Now we're missing a shooter. The second line, you have DeBrincat, the shooter. Does Kopp follow suit with Larkin and run the line? And then is Kane the playmaker? Absolutely, when he can keep up. But the second line even hasn't really been that great. So now you move DeBrincat up to the first line to be that shooter. You just have another hole in the second line. So I don't know. This is a lot of a ramble, but there's just a lot of things that I'm thinking of that need to start to be executed on, probably from Todd, in terms of lineups and systems to start to see some different results, because we're kind of seeing the same style of play night after night, whether it's getting lucky or getting kind of shit kicked.
So let's go ahead and share this screen real quick. And is player points since January 1st, 2026 for the Detroit Red Wings. I was very curious to see what this is. Talking about this as a whole, this is all situations. No surprise that Lucas Raymond leads the team with 19 points in 19 games played. Dylan Larkin, Alex DeBrincat right behind him. I'm very surprised to see James Van Riemsdyk up here, but also I'm not surprised. He's just been a machine for us and had really good looks as well. In the game against Carolina, he set up Dominic Schein once or twice, and Dominic Schein unable to bury the puck in the net. But Carlo, one thing we should highlight here is the bottom of this page in terms of player production so far in the year of 2026. Michael Rasmussen all the way down there at the bottom, 1 point in 19 games played, -3. That's not the worst. Another one that sticks out to me is the Emmett Finney one. 2 points, 19 games, a -10, playing on the third and fourth line some nights. ASP, everyone's been talking about that. He only played 12 minutes last night against the Canes.
He plays
Some people
12
are
minutes
saying he needs to get sent back down to Grand Rapids at this point. So what's your takeaway from this? The bottom six has not been showing up when it needs to be, and people are putting a lot of emphasis on the 5-on-5 when it comes to even our best players. Like Lucas Raymond isn't scoring 5-on-5 enough. Alex DeBrincat, I guess the same thing. Dylan Larkin, same thing. We're putting a lot on the shoulders of our best players, and we totally should. But also, you look at this bottom six, it is damn near atrocious.
Yeah, so you remember what Todd said last night, right? We got players that are working hard, and then we got jerseys. We got guys just donning a jersey and getting in some steps.
Post game, yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think listen, he could be talking about Larkin and Raymond as well. He could very well be talking about Larkin and Raymond. They are producing, obviously.
Two things can be true at the same time.
Of course, but I do think I think it's a little bit of everybody, man, except for the extremely obvious ones. One person I could tell you he's not talking about, Zach, is Moritz Seider. Moritz Seider last night
Yeah.
Dude, he was literally trying to do everything. He was trying to defend. He was trying to produce offense. He was hitting. He was getting me. He was doing everything right last night. He was doing it so right, in fact, that when he made that a little bit of a egregious pinch, it costed us a goal. It didn't really work out. But the next shift, he was out there flying up the right wing, getting pucks on net. I'm like, why is Moritz Seider the only guy who looks like he gives a shit right now? So for me, if Todd was talking about last night and only last night, to me, he's talking about everybody except for Moritz Seider.
I think another name that you could throw in there is John Gibson. That's another obvious one who looked and had really good numbers against the Ottawa Senators. His season numbers right now in his 38 starts has a 2.57 goals against and a 905 save percentage. So his record is 23-12-2 with 4 shutouts. Carlo, are you surprised that Cam Talbot was the starter against the Carolina Hurricanes? I thought it was very questionable, but in our group chat, I did say this could be just for the purpose of the trade deadline. You have to still get Cam Talbot looks from the purpose of whether maybe another team is interested in Cam Talbot, or you need to see how Cam Talbot is in a backup role. And if he isn't fitting what you need, especially going up against teams like Carolina Hurricanes, you might need to make an upgrade on the backup goaltender position. I like to lean more towards the first part that I said there, Carlo. I don't believe that we need to make an upgrade at the backup tendy, considering that we have Sebastian Cossa in the pipeline. So your thought and opinion on that, the decision to go with Cam Talbot and everything else I said about that.
I think I probably would have started Talbot Monday at 2:00 against Nashville.
Yeah, you could have done it then.
And I'm just looking at that because, like, Carolina, like, they're an Eastern Conference team. Like, we want to beat Eastern Conference teams. I would have rolled the goalie that given us the best chance to do that against Carolina, considering we're chasing them in the standings. I would have started John Gibson. I don't really love that decision.
And Carolina is what, a top 5 or 6 team in the National Hockey League right now, and going with Cam Talbot.
I understand why Cam Talbot needs the reps. He hasn't played since some point in January. I get it, but like Monday's not that far off from Saturday night. So I would have went John Gibson on Saturday and Cam Talbot on Monday. Didn't like that decision the minute I seen it. And I started questioning, why would we put a goalie who hasn't played since January and hasn't really played well? Why would we put him in against the Carolina Hurricanes? I thought that was interesting, but it is what it is. It's in the past now. Don't love it.
Yeah, you can question it all you want, but from the perspective of, you know, it could be for a multitude of reasons. You still have to get Cam Talbot games to play. You have to make sure that he is ready to go in case of worst case scenario. John Gibson gets injured, knock on wood. Once again, we don't want that to happen, but crazier things have happened before, Carlo.
Yes, sir.
Overall, thoughts on the month of February? I mean, the team,
we got 4 points.
They got 4 points out of a possible 8. That's not exactly the greatest. And then looking forward into the month of March, so Monday, 2 p.m. against the Nashville Predators. You play against teams like the Vegas Golden Knights at home, Florida Panthers at home. You actually play the Florida Panthers twice this month.
Oh, yeah, the remaining schedule is not good. Like, it's not hot.
The Red Wings still have one of the toughest remaining schedules, I believe, within the NHL. So, Carlo, I think this is now probably a good time to do it. Let's just go ahead and touch on the trade deadline preview, which is what we believe Steve Yzerman needs to do. He needs to be a buyer. That's clear that he needs to be a buyer. And I think before we entered into the season, Carlo, during the offseason, I believe we said we might have to go and roll back the tapes and maybe find it. If someone wants to go ahead and find that clip for us and put it in here, that would be great. We would love you to do that. This would be the season that Steve Yzerman becomes a buyer, even just based on the way that he handled free agency. He left room for a reason to see how this team would go into the new year, going into spring, early spring. We are now in early spring. It is March 1st officially, to go ahead and be a buyer at the trade deadline. We've already heard some names out there, Carlo, but what do you think the approach is for Steve? Is he a buyer? What's the game plan?
He's definitely a buyer. He has to be, or he's going to get absolutely ridiculed because this team is taunting him. This team is winning games that maybe they shouldn't. We can argue that all we want, but maybe they should. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they're winning games. They're in a position that they haven't been in a very, very, very long time at this time of year. So he needs to be a buyer. And I think that the team is really leaving him no choice because now it's on him. It's evident they need help and he needs to just make the decision on, let's go get some help. And then he's got to do his thing, which I'm sure you have to be doing. you have to be doing. I'm sure he's doing these things. We make it sound like it's so easy to do, and you just got to pick up the phone and put your cigar down and make a couple phone calls. You know what I mean? Like, we make it sound like it's easy, but we know how it works too. It's not that easy. There's a plethora of other guys trying to do the same thing for their lineups. So, you know, it's not easy, but he's definitely got to be a buyer. We're seeing him pop up in a lot of conversations with insiders. Don't know how accurate they are. Don't know how much I believe them, because after all, it is Yzerman. It is the Rings. They do keep things very, very airtight. So, I mean, people are speculating at the end of the day is what they're speculating on the Detroit obvious needs. And it's hilarious, because there should be a drinking game every time an insider says, oh, the Red Wings are looking for a right-handed defenseman. No shit, dude. Take a shot. What are we doing? Of course they are. Who isn't?
To touch on.
Buyer, yes.
Go ahead. Finish it up. This is funny.
Take a minute. Take a minute.
You're good. Go ahead. Finish up with.
No, I was just going to get into who I think. I was just going to get into buyer, yes. Who are we buying? And then that's where we can bridge the conversation. But you caught your breath, so you take.
It's very hilarious that you say that too, because Steve Yzerman, airtight sealed, like you said, but it's so funny because just off the top of your head, it seems like every player who is out there on free agency, the Red Wings and Steve Yzerman have been linked to them. And I joked around this morning with you.
I know
that it seems like that the Red Wings do have a need for a little bit of everything. We just talked about maybe they need another backup goaltender. Who knows? Maybe the Red Wings, Steve Yzerman doesn't want to use Sebastian Cossa. He's played in one NHL game, not even a full NHL game.
Yeah, now's not the time to bring him in.
Then you look at it from the perspective of, I mean, Carlo, there's a lot of names out there. You got even someone like Austin Matthews after what happened with the gold medal thing, you know, not trying to get into all that, but Austin Matthews' name is getting out there. You're looking at even, I know Canadians aren't happy even with Brady Tkachuk. Maybe his name is floating out there a little bit, but I'm not saying those names are connected to the Red Wings, but you have Bennington out there. You have Hamilton. You have Jason Robertson now. You have Elias Pettersson. You have Tyler Myers, who apparently the Red Wings have laid down a second-round pick for on the table to Vancouver, who Tyler Myers originally said, I don't want to go to Detroit, which is fine. And that's okay. Players don't always want to go to specific places, and that's totally fine. My understanding from that is because Tyler Myers signed his deal with Vancouver with the understanding that he would be able to potentially end his career there, just live out the rest of his time in Vancouver. So, of course, from him and a family perspective, he's going to say no. But I'm hearing, Carlo, from what it says online, that Tyler Myers might be warming up to the possibility of Detroit. And maybe by tomorrow, there's a deal to be made.
I heard something about Monday too. I know.
The trade deadline is Friday. I will be going live all day long. It'll probably be from 8 o'clock till the Red Wings play that game that day as well. So I'll be following it extensively, probably from 8 a.m. until I say I'm done. So it's going to be a long time. I think the trade deadline officially ends at 3 p.m. So if you guys want to catch me live on YouTube, go ahead and do that. I certainly appreciate it. Keep those notifications on. But Carlo, yeah, they're in on everyone. Robert Thomas, Jason Robertson, Elias Pettersson, Justin Falk, Dougie Hamilton, etc., etc. Out of all the names, maybe we should back up a little bit, touch on the Tyler Myers thing, because that's the one that we have the most information on. I think also the Elias Pettersson potential trade, that's been circulating a lot, that Red Wings have been heavily pushing for Elias Pettersson. So let's start with those two. Tyler Myers, your thoughts and opinions on the Red Wings offering a second round pick, if you even think that's true.
I mean, it's not bad. I really don't think Tyler Myers is the answer. You know, he's eating up a lot of minutes for them right now, but he's also, and I know this stat pisses people off, but like he's a minus 25 on the season. So does that mean he's getting too much ice time? Like, is he being over-indexed in Vancouver, and then he's coming now? This is the thing. If he's coming to Detroit to play on that third pairing, and his ice time goes way down, this could be something that becomes interesting for Tyler Myers and the Red Wings and us as fans, because the third pairing we have is I don't even think that's an NHL pairing. ASP is in the top 4, playing 12 minutes or less per night. We clearly need a guy who's going to come in and play 20 minutes. And then you look at Tyler Myers, he's not doing great. He's not having a great season playing 20 minutes right now. So let's forget about lineup. Let's forget about top 4 D-man, L1 or LD1, LD2. Let's forget about all that. Let's look at this based off of ice time solely.
The player. Let's look at the player.
The player and the amount of ice time they're going to get, and our current players and the amount of ice time they are getting. Seider's getting worked, absolutely worked, but he can handle it, and he can probably go and run a marathon after. I think that was actually a quote by McLellan. So no issues with Seider and the ice time he's getting. Edvinsson obviously getting this almost the same amount of ice time. I think Mo's used a little bit more. And then you got Ben Sherratt, who's in that over 20-minute category. But then it falls off a cliff. ASP, he's in the top 4. He is so sheltered that we now need a guy who's going to be able to pick up those minutes. Now, again, we're back into that. We need a guy who can play 20 minutes a night. Tyler Myers is not doing well playing 20 minutes a night right now. Why is Tyler Myers the guy that we're bringing in? Well, he's going to be on the third pair. It's going to be fine. I understand that, but he still needs to make up the lost ice time that ASP isn't getting. So forget about the position and where he plays in the lineup. We need a 20-minute eating defenseman. So if I'm looking at Tyler Myers, I'm not saying, oh, it's not a big deal. He's only got a year left on his deal, and it's he's going to be on the third pairing. It's like, okay, let's go a little bit deeper though, because someone needs to pick up the ice time. And for that reason, I don't love the Tyler Myers idea. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know.
I get your hesitation on a Tyler Myers, and I do agree with you. And just to give a little perspective on Tyler Myers, who he is as a player. So Tyler Myers, he is 36 years old. He's 6'8", 229 pounds. He does shoot right. His cap hit is $3 million. So very cheap. He does have one more year after this season, like Carlo mentioned. Just to kind of pick apart his stats. Yeah, it's not the greatest stats this year, Carlo. He does wear an A for Vancouver, so he does have leadership abilities. I mean, he's 36 years old. He's been around the block. He's played with the Winnipeg Jets before and the Buffalo Sabres. Also during those times, not the greatest of teams. And unfortunately for him and his Vancouver tenure, not with the greatest team as well. He's only been in the playoffs with them once in his tenure, and this is his 7th season with them. But 57 games played, 8 points, 40 penalty minutes. He's a minus 25, like you mentioned. He's on pace to be a minus 35. I do have a comparison for you. And he's on the Detroit Red Wings. Ben Sherratt, when he came to Detroit in 22-23, 76 games, 19 points, 51 penalty minutes, minus 31.
Well, I mean, the 22-23 wasn't the best
from
team.
The comparison, yeah, you're thinking about how bad that team was, right? Look at how bad the Vancouver Canucks are.
No, yeah, hey, that's a valid point, dude. That's a very valid point. That's why I said I don't know how I feel about it. And right. the thing is, and this is the risky thing, is I really don't know how I feel about it until I see him suit up in the Red Wings uniform, if and when, and play, and see how he's being utilized and what his usage looks like. Until then, I really don't know how I feel about it. I can tell you Steve Yzerman probably knows more than I do or you do. And if Steve Yzerman thinks it can help, I'm going to assume that, okay, it's gotta help. But that's where I'm at. Until I can see it with my own eyes and do my own eye test on Myers in the Wings, uniform, lined up, playing, usage, all that stuff, I don't know what to think of it. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I don't think it's going to move the needle as much as we need it to be moved in order to stay relevant in the month of March and into April, and of course in the standings. I don't know. I struggle with that.
So another reference point for Tyler Myers, last season, this season has just been an absolute disaster for the Vancouver Canucks. And we'll transition into the Elias Pettersson conversation because they're both on the same teams. Maybe there's a deal to be worked out for both of them, Carlo. I haven't really seen anyone touch on that. It's just been Tyler Myers and Pettersson separate. So maybe there's a deal you could work out for both at the same time. But Tyler Myers, as of last season, that's his season when he got the A with the Vancouver Canucks. In the 71 games that he played, 6 goals, 18 assists for 24 points, 74 penalty minutes, plus minus, +2. He averaged 20 and a half minutes per game last season in those 71 games. I haven't done the math for what his ice time is per game averaging right now this season. I would assume it's right around there considering how they are right now. And it's a very young team right now that is very much struggling within the NHL. So Carlo, does this help your hesitation a little bit on Tyler Myers, knowing that maybe this could be just one of those outlier seasons that's because of the humongous struggles that the Vancouver Canucks are seeing right now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's he's not on a great team, and obviously you're not going to see great results all the time when you're not on a great team. So yes, to answer your question straight on, yes, it does. I just, I don't know. I mean, it does. Yes. I'm still
I'm with you though. Yes, there is still that hesitation, and you want to see it first, but without having, it's like, can I taste test this first before
Yeah.
actually purchasing?
Yes. Exactly what I'm talking about. But well, I
I'm
don't
with
know.
you.
We'll see. We'll see how that one shakes out. I was funny because you mentioned Pedersen, and I was wondering because then the Wings were linked to Falk and Thomas, who are both in
Yep,
St. Louis.
double
And I'm like,
dippers.
oh, is Steve trying to like get his gets from one club? Like, is he trying to do like a twofer type of deal where he's pulling two guys and then quick and easy in and out, done? And but I don't know. I doubt it. I
Well,
was
and it
just
goes
thinking and
back
having
to
fun.
what I was saying too, that Steve Yzerman might have thought about this from the get-go based on free agency, where he didn't go out big gain hunting where we wanted him to and expected him to. So he has this cap hit. I think going into his trade deadline cap space, which is different from regular cap space that you have, it's like a ridiculous, stupid number, Carlo. I don't know if you want to pull that up real quick, but it is a ridiculous, stupid
Right
number.
now,
So currently, right now, that their trade deadline cap space, because it expands a
50
little
million.
bit. Yeah, it's like somewhere around there. It is a stupid
Pretty
amount. So
sure
the
it's
Red Wings
50.
can take
Yeah.
on cap. And for the Pedersen's sake, he's making over $11 million per season, I think it is, Carlo. So it sounds like that teams want the Vancouver Canucks to retain on a Pedersen contract, which is fine, because I get the perspective of that, because Pedersen hasn't lived up to that contract amount the last 2 or 3 seasons. He's been a
No.
sub 60 point guy. He's not even on pace to reach 60 points this year. But I would say, and I would agree with the fans that are also banging on the table for Steve to make a trade for a Pedersen, you got to take that type of risk. I think now would be the time that you take that type of risk. You offer up whatever it is, if it's a first, if it's a Nate Danielson, another prospect, and maybe another pick. I think now is the time to take that type of risk. We've seen it with players where that change of scenery, going and playing with his fellow countrymen in Lucas Raymond, Simon Edvinsson, I'm sure Lucas Raymond may have been saying something in his ear when they were over in Italy. I don't actually know if Pedersen was playing in the Olympics. He probably was. Who knows? But anyways,
I think he was.
continuing on my point,
Pretty
though,
sure he was.
Steve Yzerman should be doing everything in his power to add within this team. What it's going to cost to get both of them, I'm not exactly sure. Backtracking to the second round pick, Carlo, based on our history on second round picks that we have drafted, how many of them have actually panned out to be something? I don't think not Lombardi, but Wallander, Shibuya, just thinking about past recent second round picks, I think Albert Johansson is the only one that has made it to the NHL for the Detroit Red Wings in terms of a second round
Some would
pick.
say Valeno's a second round pick because he was kind of at the last. It's like saying you're
He's not with the club anymore and
5'12"
got
or
traded.
6 foot. But I mean, anyways, I'm not like, I don't really care about giving up a second round pick for help. I just, that taste test, right? That's where we're at. But I'm going to hit you with this, dude. I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't be upset if Yzerman passed on Pedersen. Like if it was up to me, and I'll segue this into the other people and the other players that are being mentioned, but I think I'd rather Robert Thomas over Elias Pettersson, personally.
I get where you're coming from on that, for sure. But for the folks at home, lay it down. Why is that?
So for me, it's just first of all, I think he's a little bit more of a gamer. I think he can come up bigger in bigger moments than Elias Pettersson has or could. You know, Pettersson playing with Raymond, the idea of that is definitely cool, right? Don't get me wrong, but we need a hard-nosed player, right? Robert Thomas, to me, is a bit more of a hard-nosed player than Elias Pettersson. We know that majority of the European players can be a little soft. You know, this team's kind of soft. And to have somebody who could come in and be that hard-nosed guy who gets to those dirty areas. You look at Robert Thomas's highlight reels or his videos of his goals, like, go check him out. The guy's no joke. He's a gamer. He's a hustler. And I'm not saying Pettersson's not. We've seen some really, really, really cool moments out of Pettersson too. But for me personally, I would go Robert Thomas all day for those reasons. The only thing and the only drawback to Robert Thomas is he's only played one full season.
Mm-hmm.
A full 82 game season one time, and that was 23-24. But he was over a point per game.
Not to really debunk that, Carlo, but I mean, you could easily say the same thing about Pettersson, because the last couple seasons he hasn't been exactly healthy either. So from a health standpoint,
I guess you're at apples to apples. Yeah, no, I don't know. You just look at the difference in player, look at the difference in quality. You know, St. Louis in the playoffs, Robert Thomas was over a point per game. I think he had eight points in 7 games or something like that. This is the type of guy we need if we're going into the playoffs. We need a guy who's been there, who's done that, and can produce. Thomas is that guy. Now, does St. Louis need to trade him? I don't think so. Do they want to trade him? I don't know. I don't even know why his name's in the rumors. I don't know why a lot of these names are in the rumors, to be honest with you. But if he is a guy that's truly out there that is available and St. Louis is willing to trade, that's a guy I'd be cool with giving up some assets for. I don't think I'd be. Go ahead.
About that, the asking price is on the level of a Quinn Hughes. I think maybe -1 player, a prospect.
Yeah, it depends on who the minus is. Like, I don't think he's worth what Quinn Hughes is worth. It's not the same.
So right. I would agree with you. I don't think it's anywhere close, but you're looking at it from the position. I think center over a right-handed defenseman probably does cost more. I think you're looking at it at an age. I think they're both relatively around the same age. Maybe Quinn Hughes is a little bit younger. They might be the same age. I could be wrong. But
how old is Quinn Hughes? 24?
All right, I'm going to look this up.
I know Thomas is 26 because I was just looking at it earlier.
Right, Quinn Hughes is also 26. So they're
the same age.
So from the position standpoint, one could argue it could cost around the same amount. But let's look at it from this perspective. Who's going to cost more? It's probably going to be Robert Thomas because of the age, because of his contract. It's a little more lucrative, I guess is the word I want to use here. So it's a little more preferred from other GMs. It's more stomachable and what he can bring for you. He's a proven guy. Elias Pettersson, he probably would come in less because of his production and his current contract situation. And if Vancouver doesn't want to retain, that might be a little bit more stomachable for us to not have to give up as much. So I don't know. Do you agree with me on that? But also, if we are to make a trade, are we doing this for the sake of this will be our 1C? Is this going to be our 2C? Do we put them at the wing? What exactly is the need that we have here to say that these two, and we can even throw in Trocheck. Trocheck has been named for the Red Wings as well, but it does sound like that. I can't remember which team it was, but there's a team that's heavily, I think it's the Habs actually. I could be wrong, but there's a team who's heavily invested into Trocheck right now. But just saying his name from the Red Wings perspective, Carlo, what are we doing here in terms of these names? Is it the 1C? Is it 2C? Is it top left wing 1? Is it left wing 2? Or should we even be looking at it from that perspective?
I don't think we should be yet, man. I really think they're trying to acquire some guys that are going to be game breakers for this team. Elevate the 5-on-5 play, elevate the ability to produce offense consistently, score goals, or make the players around them forced to step up and be better. I don't think they're looking at it. We can't get him. He's a centerman. You know, what are we going to do? I don't think they're looking at it like that. I really don't. And I hope they're not. You know, I was thinking about it today. It's like,
I laugh because I agree with you. Yeah, I would agree.
Bro, if Thomas comes in and wins the 1C position, okay, put Larkin on the left wing.
That's easy. Yeah. Or vice versa. You could easily do that.
And just swap them out, right? Or Thomas on the left wing and Larkin center, or flip-flop. That way that second line can stay intact. Or you have the ability to drive centerman down now. You have Larkin, blank on the left, I don't know who, Casper, and then Raymond, and then you got Thomas in between Kane and DeBrincat. I mean, like, but this is what I'm saying, man. This is the type of move that needs to happen to give this team the ability to make these types of moves and make these types of tweaks that maybe, and I said it earlier, Todd, rather than going through a whole system thing, maybe he's got to start tweaking the lineup. Well, maybe he can't tweak the lineup because there's literally nobody there to tweak to. But you bring in a guy like Thomas, well, now hang on a second. Now we got options, not only on the first line, but on the second line without compromising anything, right? Because right now, like I said earlier as well, you bring ADB or DeBrincat up to the first line, well, now you completely have compromised the second line. They're rendered useless. So this is the type of move I think they need to make. I don't think they're worried about positions at all. They're worried about guys who can come in and play the game of hockey well, make the team better. That's always number one. And they worry about the other stuff later on. No one's getting offended for getting moved around to go and win a game so we can make it to the postseason for the first time in X amount of years. This is the mission.
Yeah, and you make a very good point there because I even thought about it, and I was talking to my good buddy I Am Sunday on Twitter. Shout out to you if you are catching this episode. He commented on the Centennial hockey card video, and I'm helping him out with his, he wants to kind of finish the set, so I'm helping him out with some cards. We talked about this a little bit where one of kind of changing the topic, but not really. It's talking about trade still in the trade deadline that's a lot of fans, and probably also included Carlo, and I'm someone who is on with this, but it had me thinking that a lot of fans want to see Copper Comfort go in return to a trade if we are trading for someone. especially if it's a centerman. But I thought from this perspective, and Nate Danielson's been out for the last 5 games. There really hasn't been any updates on him. A lot of people are speculating he's out because Steve Yzerman might be including him in a trade. I think that's more likely than anything else. Personally, that's just me speculating. I don't have any information on that more than anyone else.
I don't think anybody really has any information.
I thought about it from the perspective of if you don't trade either Cop or Comfort and you do get a Robert Thomas or an Elias Pettersson or Vincent Trocheck, just saying a couple names out there that we have been hearing about.
Yeah, centerman.
Your center depth could look like Dylan Larkin, Robert Thomas, or one of those other two names, Cop, then Comfort as your 4C. Like you just said, Carlo, these players aren't going to be mad if they get bumped down, if they can win games. That's actually a really good center depth for you going into the playoffs with a lot of experience, not only just on the center, but on the wings position as well. So your thought on that, on not including a Comfort and a trade, because I don't think that many teams, as much as we say how bad these players are, you probably don't want them, right? Safe to say that.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not taking Robert Thomas and saying, yeah, we're going to give you Comfort back. Comfort cannot replace Robert Thomas, right? No. Therefore, it's more than likely that Comfort's going to stick around. And if that means that our center depth, just everybody gets slotted down and Thomas gets plugged in, that's awesome. That gives us the depth we need. Playoffs is about depth, man. Injuries come up, all these things come up. It's who's the deeper team, who's a little bit more disciplined, and really who's got the better goalie and who's good 5-on-5. Right now, we got a good goalie. I think we're decently disciplined, but we have a long way to go still with 24, 23 games left. So that needs to haul ass, right? And 5-on-5, we are not even in the conversation. So there are some worries. Does this change that? I think it could. But there's one way to find out, and that's making some moves. So it's going to be an interesting week, dude. I don't know. I don't have much more on it. And maybe we won't have much more on it until we speak again next week when the trade deadline is passed and it's in the books and it's wrapped up. Hopefully there's something happening. Hopefully the phone calls are going. Yeah, man. I mean, if it's me, I'm going after Robert Thomas, and I think I'd probably go after Falk over Myers as well. That's for me.
Yeah, I guess this is where we'll end this portion, and probably this episode as a whole. We'll wrap up with our final thoughts here afterwards. But okay, so you're more on, if you were to double dip on a team, you're going to go the Robert Thomas and Justin Falk. I would probably agree with you. Just to kind of counteract that, I would say I think going after Pettersson and then Tyler Myers, it's not going to be as strong as a Robert Thomas and a Justin Falk.
Should be cheaper though.
The cost is going to be cheaper, and I think the swing on the upside is really could be there. It really could. But yeah, for someone like Justin Falk, I think he has 2 more seasons after this one. And then Robert Thomas, he's pretty locked in, right? But I wouldn't be worried about Robert Thomas. I guess Justin Falk, and what does he do with his last year in his contract? Like how far off a cliff does he fall? Still a point getter, but defensive wise, I want to taste test, much like Tyler Myers. But Carlo, is there really any other names out there that you can think of? I guess just to really finish it up, I did think it was pretty interesting that I think now, like I said, we are linked to almost every single player that is out there on free agency. Yeah. But the Red Wings, someone mentioned the Red Wings might be interested in Jordan Binnington.
I saw that.
I'm confunkled on that.
I'm pretty sure TSN reported that, and I just don't listen to TSN. I just really don't. Wasn't it TSN that said Dylan Larkin was a Darren Helm but a better shot? Pretty sure it was TSN that made that comment. There you go. And I rest my case, my friend. I really don't. I am, as a Canadian, I don't mind saying this, I am not a fan of the Canadian media, the hockey media specifically, except for Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick. Everybody else, I just pass. Next. I'm just not. If you're not Elliot or Jeff, for me, okay, well, that sucks that you're not those two, because those are the guys. Those are the guys.
I think one more name just to kind of throw out there that I find kind of odd to me is Jason Robertson. We talked extensively about him in the offseason, Carlo. Nothing ever transpired. Dallas somehow was able to make it work, much like other teams who had very low cap space. But is there a reality where Dallas could trade Robert Thomas at the trade deadline?
I think so, man. Now let me break this down a little bit. Jason Robertson is an RFA after this year.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
For those that aren't aware of that. Yes.
Right. Which means that his extension could go into arbitration, which many would think, well, okay, maybe Dallas is going to keep him to go on their playoff run and then let him walk for free. Why would they do that? Or are they banking on kind of arbitration siding more with the organization on a deal. But then you look at their cap projections for next year, and they are projected to have $16 million in cap. So I think they need to move this guy so they avoid a situation where they lose him for nothing. So that's an interesting one to keep an eye on because, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there that wants to lose a guy of that caliber for free, for zero. So I think they got to figure something out there because they don't have the money, man.
I agree with you, not just from the money perspective, but you look at their lineup, Carlo, it's a pretty good lineup. So I think, unfortunately, for someone like Jason Robertson and the Dallas Stars organization, Jason Robertson obviously is the easiest one to let go because they have Wyatt Johnson, they now have Mikko Rantanen, and they have a couple of other players like Miro Heiskanen, their goaltending, Jake Onger. They have really good players on their team. So writing could be on the wall for someone like Jason Robertson and the Red Wings. I would like for them to go out and target someone like Jason Robertson, but he's just not a centerman. So it kind of goes back to that where it doesn't really matter what the position is. He instantly would be the Red Wings on the top line with the Detroit Red Wings for sure. In terms of cost, does it cost as much as a Robert Thomas or Elias Pettersson? Who knows? And what does that contract look like? So you got to come into that perspective. Does he come with a contract as well? The extension.
Yeah. It depends on, there's a lot of things, a lot of factors that come into play when it comes to the cost. I think he's still going to cost quite a bit, but it's a little bit different than a centerman position or a specific shooting defenseman position. So I really don't know the cost on that one, but it's just one to keep an eye on for sure. Because Dallas is in a really interesting position with that guy.
Real quick, this other name, just talking about more defensemen, because we've talked extensively about forwards. I don't think we talked enough about defensemen, but we did touch on Tyler Myers, Justin Falk, Dougie Hamilton, and his expensive contract as well, $9 million. So Red Wings are one of the very few teams that can take on full contract hits. Would you be interested in a Dougie Hamilton? That's someone who could really eat minutes and is just having a down year with New Jersey, who has suffered with injuries. And I think it's one of those situations where their fan base and maybe the organization as a whole is kind of overly blowing this out of proportion and really just want to move on from Dougie Hamilton so that they get cap space. But would you be interested in someone like that?
In a Dougie Hamilton, I would be interested in a Dougie Hamilton. I don't see why not. Not too many years left on his contract. He's 32 years old right now. Another name is Mackenzie Weegar. I'd also be interested in him. He's signed until he's like 36, where I believe Dougie Hamilton signed until he's 35. Although Dougie Hamilton is a little bit more expensive at $9 million than a guy like Mackenzie Weegar. But I don't know who I'd pick out of those two, dude. I like both of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think both would be great. I would lean more towards Dougie only because of the point production. And I think defensive wise, I think that they would probably bring the same, honestly, and looking at it from the perspective of, who would ASP be able to grow from the most as well? I think that would probably be Dougie Hamilton, where ASP can model a little bit of his game. So options.
Yeah, maybe, dude. I mean, I think he can learn from obviously anybody who's literally crunching minutes and playing defense. He really can learn from anybody with that. But Dougie Hamilton, solid, dude. I've always been a Dougie Hamilton fan, just as much as I've always been a Weegar fan. I used to be a huge Weegar fan, especially for fantasy hockey, man. A couple of years ago, he just had himself an absolute banger of a season. I think it was 23-24. It was. He had like 20 goals or something like that. But he's fallen off. Calgary has also fallen off. I don't know. Weegar's had a really rough season this year. That's another name I know Detroit's been mentioned in. No idea if that's even real or not. Again, take a shot. But anyways, those are two names I think I'd rather over Falk, Weegar, Hamilton. Would much rather one of those guys over Tyler Myers. That's for me anyway, just for me.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you there. It's just very weird that the rumor came out that there's a lot of sellers and not enough buyers out there. I would have thought that would have been the reverse. And I think you probably stand with me on that too. And I think a lot of people probably watching and listening think that too. Because you just look at the Eastern Conference, like you mentioned earlier. It's so close. You lose a game and you're down by 3 slots in the standings. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I think for that reason, there's a lot of teams that don't know what they are. There's a lot of teams that are comfortable with standing pat because of the results thus far and because of the standings thus far. So I really think there's still teams that don't know exactly what they are, except for the really, really obvious ones. But Detroit definitely needs to be a buyer, and it's good to know that it's kind of a buyer's market right now because there's so much demand. If there's more sellers, there's a lot more demand, which could be a good thing for us in terms of what we're giving up asset-wise. We shall see, dude. It's going to be an interesting week.
It is going to be a very interesting week within the NHL to see all these trades go down. Carlo, final thoughts. Let's just go ahead and jump into it. What do you got for your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are, I mean, talking about all these names, I am even more confused as to what Steve Yzerman is going to do, which is just the way it's been for the last month leading up to this. So I'm really looking forward to this week to seeing what happens. I think it's pretty evident something needs to happen. So let's wait and see and follow it along. Let's go get a D-man. Let's go get a forward, a top 6 forward. Those are my final thoughts. How about you, man?
Copy and paste. Top 6 forward would be nice. Top 4 defenseman would be nice. Both would be perfect. One of the two I can live with. None of the two
problems.
I think it's safe to say that I would be very disappointed in Steve.
Yes, many would.
One final question for you. In my final thoughts, would you be okay if Steve had to overpay to get the top 6 forward or top 4 defensemen that we need? Not rental players.
No, like lock. Yeah, no, I don't. It depends on what overpay means. It really depends on that. It's such a subjective question and answer that I don't. It depends on what we're giving up and who we're getting. We have to wait for something to happen. We got to get the facts and then we got to break it all down. And then next week episode will be our reactions. Let's put it that way. We will react to any, if any, of the moves that Yzerman makes and discuss if they are indeed overpays. If they are we good with it because of who we got? There's so many variables, right? But let's save that one till next week. And that's where we'll do our reaction video. Our first time buyer's reaction video. It'll be everybody's first time buyer's reaction video, really. So that'll be a fun one. We'll save that one for then. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you because last year, even looking at it from the perspective, we did buy, but technically we sold at the same time, I guess. So
I don't know what we did last
season wasn't really a buyer's post trade deadline reaction. And I agree with you. That's something we're going to do. Like I said, I mentioned that I will be live pretty much all day for trade deadline day. So you can expect that. I'll probably get something up and going, throughout this week, just to let everyone know that will be a thing. Tune in. We'd love to see each and every one of you there. Gonna be bringing on, so if anyone who has been a beautiful special guest before that is watching this, feel free to contact me, DM me on Twitter. I'll bring you guys on, just have for little pockets throughout the day. If you guys want to hop in, join just to say hello and what you think of what's going on in the NHL at that time. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what other teams are doing, what they're doing. And like you said, Carlo, I think we got to base it on the first domino. Once that first domino falls, that's going to be a tall telling sign on what we can expect going into trade deadline day. The day usually is the slowest. It's usually the days leading up to it. And I'm honestly quite surprised that we haven't seen anything yet. And I'm probably going to eat my words as soon as this uploads because 5 trades will probably happen. And I hope I can make this into a short clip by saying this.
Sure. And I honestly think tomorrow, I think Monday's going to be a big day for me.
Yeah, I agree. But those are my final thoughts. Let's go Red Wings, big March. The infamous past March collapses, Carlo. I do not want to see this happen. I think now moving forward, absolutely. If you can make it happen, just looking at the Detroit Red Wings schedule real quick, they play one back-to-back in the month of March.
They have that going for them. But
which is
doesn't really
Buffalo
matter.
Sabres.
They need to play 5-on-5. They need to be
which is Buffalo Sabres and the Philadelphia Flyers. If I were Todd McLellan, John Gibson's playing every fucking game this month. I don't care. Sorry for the language. I know we don't swear a lot on this podcast, but he has to start him every game this month. He is top 10 in expected goals against save percentage or whatever the number is. He is a top 10 goalie in the league, and you have to play him. You have to ride him so you don't have this infamous March collapse anymore. That's my final thoughts. That's, I think, where I'm going to end off on that. I don't know if you want to touch on that too real quick, but you have to ride the hot goaltender.
Nope. I said what I said. You said what you said. We're wrapping up with, you got one more? Or is that your final thought?
Nope. I'm out. Salute. I'm out.
Y'all heard it here first, twice, and last. Y'all heard it here first, last. Anyways, we're just having fun now. Anyways, folks, thanks for listening. This is the end of the episode. We appreciate y'all making it to the end of the episode. A big week coming up. And looking forward to unwrapping that with y'all next weekend. So until then, we'll catch y'all on the next one. Later.
Love you. Goodbye. Nice guys.
Beauty.
Nice guys. We love you. Goodbye.